So it is the second week of September, and I'm going to give you my monthly garden update. So my chickens are still in there. They're in the house today for some reason. So this will become part of my garden next year. And this is my main vegetable garden. So I've got winter squash, there's corn, like carrots. I have a hoop house for things that like a little warmer. And then this is the rest of it. And then that is a side gate. And I'll take you out there near the end because there's a little bit more growing beyond that gate too. But this is it. And things are peak growth right now. And let me show you. I'll start here in the corn and show you how that's doing. So we had a rainstorm. A snake just slithered. I think I didn't get it though. We had a rainstorm. It knocked all the corn flat. So I had to tie it up to these like snow posts. But you can see all the beautiful corn. And the honeybees are on the tassels up here. I can hear the buzzing. I'm not sure if it's going to come through, but they're collecting the pollen, I guess. And then over here I have my carrot bed. It's the only thing I have covered right now because I don't know if we have carrot root maggot, but I don't want to find out. And so you can see them. They're doing really well. And then over here is all of my squash. And I also have planted in here some amaranth. Actually, it planted itself. And zinnias. There's also some bush beans and potatoes. So there's one of the squash. Oh, and here's one of the bush beans. It's like a yellow wax bean. There's young pumpkin. And that thing, there's another one right in there. There's some pumpkins in here. I just can't climb through it anymore. I don't want to crush it. And so all along this wall of my garden is my berries. I have blackberries. A lot of these I've picked gallons and gallons and froze them. And I don't need any more. So any that are left, I'm just letting the birds have. So I climbed out of the pumpkins, and this, next to my carrots, these are my zucchini plants. And I also have some decorative gourds growing. They're so cute. They have no other purpose besides just being cute. And some delicata. Here's another gourd. Back here behind, kind of in the back of the garden, I've got one beehive, and I have some different, more squash. Those are sweet dumplings. Those are my favorite. They're really good. If you only have space to grow one winter squash, you should try sweet dumpling. There's pumpkin. A funky pumpkin. And back here I didn't show you, but I have a great plant next to the bees. And I have two other grapevines back here. And they're starting to ripen. Also back behind the hoop house, I've got some beets. I've got lemon balm. It's going to seed. It's going to spread everywhere. Let's see, let me show you the beets. And beets come in different colors. So there's white beets. They're real sweet. I think they're a little less earthy tasting. And then these are actually a type of striped beet. There's golden beets, and then there's like the regular dark beets. But I have like a variety growing here. And then also back here I have asparagus. That's done, is going to seed. And on this trellis I have beans growing. Here's the beans. They're shelling beans, so that's why I haven't picked them yet. And also back here is something really cool I found the other day. See those? Those are tromboncinos. So it's a type of squash, and it's kind of it's a lot like a butternut. They're really good. You can also eat them fresh, but I like them more like a butternut. Alright, so in the hoop house, this is stuff that likes it to be warmer. I have tomatoes, which actually didn't do so great this year. I do have some. These are all paste tomatoes. And we've been picking them. That's why you don't see any red ones. On this side is supposed to be peppers. They did really bad. I've got basil here. And cucumbers. Cucumbers did really well. Let me see if I can find one. Oh yeah, there's one. I have all different types of cucumbers. Of like that was a pickling cucumber. This is like a long, sort of fresh eating cucumber. These are like a Japanese style cucumber. And then I also planted some kale and lettuce in here. And I planted that more recently, so I would have stuff growing in the winter. Because even though it still gets frosts in here. Oh, and let me show you the coolest thing. So this is a volunteer pumpkin plant. I actually thought it was a spaghetti squash, which I don't really like. But I was super happy a couple weeks ago. The spaghetti squashes that I thought were spaghetti squashes started to turn orange. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, all from one plant. And it has actually really affected my other plants in here. I should have pulled it out, but I have trouble pulling out pumpkins and squash plants that are volunteers because each one is unique because they crossbreed. And I never know what it's going to look like. You can see it. It just took over this whole side. There's supposed to be a walkway here. And I have honeybees trapped in here. I'm going to show you the rest of the garden. First, let's start at this trellis by the entryway. These are scarlet runner beans. And all this dried up stuff here is just snow peas that are drying up. I didn't pull them off because I need the peas so I can replant them next year. This is supposed to be my main walkway, so it's really hard to get around. And I could just trim it all up, but I have trouble cutting out flowers and stuff. They're so pretty. Let me show you all the pretty flowers. So most of these flowers are medicinal. This one's calendula. You can make balms and stuff with it. But these other ones here are for dried arrangements. These are actually my daughter's flowers. And these are they're real pretty. Alright, so let's see. What are we going to start? Let's start back here. First I have to climb through. Got lettuce. This is rutabaga. I plant that in early July, the very first week of July, and I feel like that's when it does the best because it develops the roots in the colder temperatures. There's onions that I haven't harvested yet. This is kale. And then this terrible looking thing falling over is actually a lettuce plant that's gone to seed. and I could collect the seeds, but more than likely most of the seeds are just going to fall down and it'll regrow next year without me having to plant anything. In this bed I have all my beets, and the beets are doing really good. Look how big they are. I've already harvested a bunch. Like, I canned some and we're having some for dinner tonight. This is turnips. Different types of Swiss chard. Over here I have more rutabaga. And I have some cabbages that are almost ready. You push on them, and if they feel really firm, then you know that they're ready to pick. These were purple cabbages that I already harvested the head. And now it's just little leaves, and I was just going to see what they did. But they're not. I was hoping they would make like little Brussels sprouts, but they haven't really. Maybe they will. I'm going to leave them longer and see. These are peas, like sugar snap peas. They just started to flower. I've got, climb through here. I've got more beets. And I've got these really tall kale. It comes up to my shoulder. The kale's just, it's so good this year. Alright, so that's all of what I just showed you. And then over on this side, it looks like a mess. And it kind of is. Because every time like one of these flowers grows, these are borage. The honeybees love them, and I can't bring myself to pull them out. Oh, the honeybee just flew away. I've got little cabbage, some kohlrabi, and this is chicory, and it's looked like it might flower one day. And you can use the roots of chicory to make like a coffee substitute. And over here is all of my tomatoes. Not all my tomatoes. These are all of my outdoor tomatoes. And they're like a tiny grape tomato. And that's pretty much the only thing you can ripen here outdoors because it's so cool all summer. But look at that, all the flowers. And then a little further down, those are tomatillos. I usually put them in the hoop house, but this year I didn't, and I might regret it because I hope that they can finish before frosts. And then over here is flowers laying on top of kohlrabi. Let me climb through there. I just climbed over the other side of those flowers. So I have, this is supposed to be kohlrabi, but I wonder if I actually mislabeled it and I planted broccoli instead. But we will find out. I like both, so it doesn't matter. This is a beautiful kale. And then these are my most fancy little sunflowers. They're called teddy bears. I love them. I don't know if the bees like them because it's like all petals. Yeah. Maybe the bees don't like them, but that's okay. And this is celery. Oh, can you tell that that's celery? Yeah, see, that's celery. This is the other side of my bean trellis. Alright, so what we're going to do now is I'm going to climb through all of this and head to that gate over there. At the gate, so when you come to the gate, over here is a more garden bed, and it's enclosed separately because we had our chickens here once. And in this garden bed is all mostly beans. So there's like a yellow wax bean. Oh, and there's also onions. And there's shelling beans. There's also a row of beets back there too, just because I was planting beets everywhere this year. If I climb in here, I have actual green beans growing. Let's see if I can find them. No, I just picked them yesterday, so of course I'm not going to be able to find any. But these are beans that were drying out, and I call them cow beans because they're black and white. They're really cool. But once this dries out more, we'll pick the whole pod and then split it open. I also have kale and then some broccoli in the middle. And then on the other side of the garden gate is a whole bunch of potatoes. And I think they're doing good. And the reason I think they're doing okay is look what's popping out of the ground right here. Like, it's not good that they're exposed to sun, but the deer have been walking through here, kicking up all the dirt. So let's cover it. So look, you can see a potato there. Let's cover it back up. And look, we'll let them die out a little bit more. They actually look quite green still. And once they die out, then maybe I'll make a video of harvesting them. I love harvesting potatoes. It's one of my favorite things to do. So yeah, there's my garden. It's a mess, but it makes a lot of food.